If you post a comment, then I can...
Comics, I can be in the conversation, but then at the same time also, like, look out for chat and be like, alright, don't bring your Holocaust joke here.
Yeah. Okay, believe we are live. Yep, I'm seeing it show up. Are people here is the question.
And they heard that. You could have told me that. I didn't know we were live.
Oh, sorry, yeah, we're here. We're live.
You gotta say 3, 2, 1, we're on live. A person is here.
Woo! It's probably you guys. Welcome to We Are Still Talking All About Them Pony Comics. Seriously, we're still talking about it. Three years. 3 years this panel's been going on. First time, I was somewhere hiding in the halls of BronyCon using the really slow convention Wi-Fi to do a poorly set up stream for the very first HAHcon, but then since then it has not been on the same weekend as BronyCon, so I have been able to be a bit more set up, but every single time, Cool Man Stan, who's supposed to be my moderator of the comment section, has been unavailable. He is supposedly showing up 30 minutes from now, which is when the official end of the stream is supposed to be, though chances are we're going to go for an hour, because that's usually what ends up happening, because, yeah. So, did anybody bring any topics to discuss? I don't know if there's enough people to ask the audience for questions just yet.
Maybe we should.
Oh yeah, introductions. Haha, sorry. The person currently I am bad at this. Even when I don't have to show my face and I'm hiding behind a computer screen, I'm still really bad at this. Okie dokie.
Having some problems hearing us. I think.
Hello?
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 Yeah, they can hear you. But,
hello? Why is it keep telling me that Chokfi is the moderator of my channel? It's really annoying. I don't know. Can you hear everybody?
Can you hear us? Me? You?
Testing.
1, 2, 3. I can hear it like through the stream, like they can hear us, but our volumes are just really, really low.
I have a shitty setup when it comes to this, so talk louder.
Oh, I'm hearing it now.
I turned the overall volume up. Let me see if I can mess with you in Discord.
Wait, we could, yeah, there's Discord stuff.
Yeah, I'm listening to the stream. Yeah, sounds good.
How about this? I turned up my output volume.
Okay, I've turned up everybody who's currently in the call. Their volume is like at 100%. Okay, now the 200%, yes. Okay, the person currently talking is ComicSans, or ComicSansPony. I am the host of this panel. You are currently on my channel. Welcome. I am a reviewer of the MLP comics, the contrived comic. Don't have a third word to make it a alliteration, but the contrived comic pony. Then we have the related to Angel Bunny Rabbit, the self-proclaimed cute. No, I'm kidding. Self-proclaimed cutest analysis bunny, Chokfi. And then we have the anthropomorphic apple pie. Don't take a slice. I hear he's very salty. BigApplePie.
Wow. Well, it's not anthropomorphic if I look like a person. It's
anthropomorphic is having any human characteristics.
Yeah, that would be. I'm just personified.
You have like human characteristics. 1, you're talking, and 2, you have a face.
That's not anthropomorphic.
Actually, yes, that is. That does fit the.
I'm anthropomorphic.
Are we really? Are we really arguing?
I don't want to be considered that because people think otherwise. I'm a talking pie. Just leave it as a talking pie.
Did you like my thing about don't take a slice? I hear he's very salty.
Yes, it's fine. It's fine. I will bore you. Definitely don't want to eat it.
Can we not go there, please, Chokfi?
No. I'm not. Come on, I'm not dirty.
Wait, they can't hear Apple. Apple, speak.
La 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 la.
Did you hear that?
There's like a big delay.
Oh yeah, I'm very, very quiet now. Of course.
I mean, I don't want to do a Google Hangout for this, and it worked okay last year. Just, you gotta listen to people.
Oh man, Google Hangouts is annoying. I was just in a Google Hangouts.
Okay, well let's get started. If you go to the little eye icon, there's currently a poll going on for which of the IDW comic series was the best. You have the main series, the Friendship is Magic series, the micro series, which was then replaced by the Friends Forever series. You have the short-lived Fiendship series, and the newest Legends of Magic series. So I guess you can vote on that, and I'll reveal the results at the end. Or something.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna vote. I like Friends Forever. There's also links to everybody on this panel's channels, including the person who did not show up to the stream, Cool Man Stan.
Where are these supposed links?
If you go to if there should be a little eye icon in the corner of the video. If you click on that, that's where they all are. Anyways, so any discussion any discussion topics for?
If anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, it's the lowercase I, not
yeah, lowercase I. It's in the I want to say top right.
Corner. It's the thing that you always click. What just happened?
What happened? What do you mean?
Something happened.
What happened?
I don't know. Something flashed on my Discord for some reason. It's gone.
Weird. Okay.
Okay, let's start talking about comics.
I binged like all the comics that I that I hadn't read. I've been neglecting my duties as one of the only people who review the MLP comics. I was way behind, and I spent like a ridiculous amount of money on digital copies of the comics like this past week.
It's weird that for some reason a majority of my content has to do with the comics at this point.
Yeah, I was going through, and so I finally read through all the comics. Like I don't remember where I think I was for the main series. I had stopped reading after the first part of the Accord arc, or Discord. Oh yeah, where Discord becomes orderly. Anyways, probably should say this now. Blanket spoiler alert for anything related to the comics, the TV show, generic movies, and whatever we decide to just go on tangents about. There will be spoilers, a whole ton. I almost swore, but I forget what the rating of my panel is. So,
what is the rating of your panel?
I think we're PG-13.
Might be swearing.
So.
You already gave us a crap bomb, so.
Okay. Well. Anyways. So yeah. So spoiler alert for any of the comics, any and all.
And I haven't been able to keep up to date for unfortunate reasons since last spring, so I'm very behind on the comics. I'm also very behind on the show, and I'm finally, since yesterday, or last 2 nights ago, finally started to watch all the episodes that I haven't watched. Because believe it or not, guys, I haven't finished season 4 yet.
Wow.
And I haven't watched any of the Equestria Girls movies except for the first.
Wow.
What about the other seasons?
Exactly, that too. I've never seen a single episode of season 5. So I'm just, there's spoilers.
4, 6,
okay,
7?
I haven't seen 7 either. So
okay.
It's fine. But if you start to say a spoiler, I'm not gonna care. I'm here. Just gonna have to bite the bullet. It's fine.
We're about to be in season 8.
It's okay.
So, anyways, I was reading through the comics that I hadn't read, and there was one that it really pissed me off, like more than the Nightmare Rarity arc, more than the Nightmare Moon Fiend Show comic, more than any other comic in the entire all the series that I've hated up to this point, and it was because it both connected to canon and broke canon at the same time.
That's gotta be interesting.
Which one was it? Was it one of the ones I've read?
Okay, it was, I believe it was Friends Forever number 37. It's one of the more recent Friends Forever. Actually, I think it was like second to last, or where they canceled that series in favor of Legends of Magic. It was...
Oh, I haven't read that one, so tell me, why was it so bad?
It was starring Rarity and Trixie.
Interesting, okay.
Which would have been an interesting interesting pair up. I'm not saying it was a bad pair up. Where basically the basic plot is that Rarity is going to Manhattan to help Sapphire Shores with some changes to her outfit. Turns out they had sold out the original location, so they were now performing at like Madison Mare Gardens, or whatever the pony equivalent of Madison Square Gardens was. But then because the show was bigger, they had to redo everything, including the costumes, and Rarity had to work with Sapphire Shore's new special effects wizard, which happened to be Trixie. Now that would be fine.
At least it wasn't Sven Gallop.
At least it wasn't Sven Gallop, yes. Which would have been fine, except the author of the comic tends to randomly summarize the previous events involving all these characters, because I think they're the same person who did the number 13 of the Friends Forever.
And what was the movie again?
That was Babs and Rarity.
Vaguely, actually.
And basically, during that one, they had this random exposit scene between Rarity and Babs about every single time they'd previously encountered each other, from One Bad Apple to the previous arc in the main series comics, Manhattan Mysteries, and all this kind of stuff. And it was an okay connection of canon, but you don't talk to people like that. Oh, hey, Chokfi, remember that time when we did this, this, and this? That's just not how people talk. Well, I mean, if you're reminiscing, yes, but you don't just go, oh hey, BigApplePie, you were on one previous panel with me for last year's HAHcon. It was a great panel. We talked about comics. That's not how people talk.
Sometimes, but it's the way they spoke. Yeah, but it's the way they say.
Previously on My Little Pony, basically, but it was fine in Friends Forever number 13. But the weird part about when they did it kind of again for 37.
Did they reference number 13?
They referenced number 13 because Sweetie Belle was joining Rarity because she was hanging out with Babs Seed, and she mentioned that she got sick the previous time, which is why she wasn't in number 13. And so that happened just to get rid of, to connect to canon, to connect to existing canon, then get rid of Sweetie Belle for the comic. She's hanging out with Babs Seed. But basically, when they did the whole thing with, recounting all the times that Rarity had hung out with, or encountered Trixie, they only mentioned, shows, what was the one from when Trixie first showed up. They mentioned, okay, that was Showstoppers? No, Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters.
Showstoppers was Kingdom Crusader singing their theme song.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So they mentioned Ghostbusters and they mentioned Magic Duel, but even if they just mentioned those two, Trixie was not really forgiven, but she apologized, and the main six were okay with her presence, at least for the most part.
They were unhappy with them, in the episode later on, which I'm sure you're about to talk about. Twilight's unhappy with her.
Yeah, well, that was a little weird. Like she hadn't been completely forgiven, kind of thing, or didn't trust her when Glimmer tried to become friends with Trixie.
Weird, because they trust Glimmer, and Glimmer has done worse things.
However, in the comic,
example of bad examples.
Okay, well, anyways, in 37, number 37 of Friends Forever, for those who are just joining in, that's what we're talking about. My recently most hated comic in the entire MLP comic series is Rarity is like still pissed at Trixie for the whole magic duel incident. Like, didn't like completely ignoring any apology that happened in that episode, any partial forgiveness she had prior to her being friends with Glimmer, which they did mention that Trixie did become friends with Starlight Glimmer. However, the comics usually like to reference themselves a lot, and it referenced number 13 of the Friends Forever series, but
they were referencing back, like, they were only referencing, like, oh, I remember you when you were doing this and kind of this, but I still hate you for whatever stupid reason.
They also, but my biggest issue was I liked the Manhattan Mysteries arc. Basically,
yeah, because that was good. Because
Trixie
that shows that they were together and
yeah,
they were awesome, and they wanted to prove Trixie's innocence. That was cool, even though the climax and resolution was stupid. I'm like, oh, that's the thief. Oh,
yeah.
There was no clues that led up to that.
But
even then, it was kind of cool.
For those who haven't read that comic, in that one, Trixie, in an effort to apologize, invites, I think, Applejack, Rarity, Apple Bloom, and Fluttershy. I think the remainder of the main six have their excuse for not.
And Babsy comes along too.
And then Babsy comes along too. Yeah. To her show in Manhattan, and during the show, which is also a secret sting operation to catch a diamond thief, Trixie is framed, and so they have to prove her innocence. And throughout the course of that arc, Rarity and Applejack and Fluttershy and Apple Bloom forgive Trixie for her previous transgressions, and they or at least set that aside to prove her innocence because she's turned over a new leaf. Only for number 37 of Friends Forever to come around and just completely forget that entire arc existed.
Oh, that's pretty stupid.
I was pissed because Rarity shouldn't be mad at Trixie, according to comic canon, which is debatable whether or not it's actually canon with the show, but still, it was even just within comic canon, she should be okay with Trixie. Not even taking into account show canon, but no! Okay. I'm gonna stop being pissed about little things like that.
Yeah, apparently they're having problems hearing us again.
Really?
Yeah. It's us. They're having trouble hearing us.
I'm loud. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. It's not that. It's like when we talk, it's hard to hear us, and I have my mic very close to my mouth.
Yes.
I literally put my mic right next to my speaker, so hopefully it hears you a lot better.
Oh my gosh! Stop!
It's impossible to do that with a snowball. Anyway, so what I was saying...
I'll speak really loud when I want to voice an opinion, unfortunately.
I was thinking...
Well, how about we move on to whatever Chokfi's least favorite is?
Well, I mean, last year I spent the entire half an hour just discussing favorite and least favorite comics, so...
So you want to just talk about... Okay, then if we're not going to talk about that...
Well, I mean, I guess Chokfi didn't get a chance, so favorite and least favorite comic, Chokfi.
I don't know. Because I don't remember most of the comics. Favorite has got to be, well, the Legends comics, really, kind of all together. But out of them, probably... Let's see... Probably Meadowbrook, I'd say. It's got a pretty good comic. Anyway, I wanted to mention that how interesting it was that, the comics were becoming more and more canon to the show.
Yes. I have issues with that, actually, but... Oddly enough,
show with issues.
the sole person who's just screaming into the void, the comics are canon! Fuck all your opinions!
You just cursed.
They're semi-canon, and they've always been semi-canon. They're canon unless the show contradicts them. But at this point, they have cross-contamination of canon.
Yes. They're B canon. They're canon as long as the show doesn't contradict them.
Or sometimes other merchandise, like books, can sometimes trump comics if they cover the same stuff. Because they cover more information.
The Journal of the Two Ponies has been decanonized, so...
Like the book version of, what was her name? Berry Twist Sparkle Pop? No.
Fizz Pop... Tempest.
Fizzle...
Tempest.
Yeah,
Tempest.
I didn't even remember her
Fizzle
her
Pop
name.
Berry Twist.
Yes.
To help you remember, it sounds like one of the fake swears that Josh Scorcher might use.
Fizzle Pop Berry Twist. Yeah, I could see that. Anyway, her comic has the same stuff that happens in her book, except there's a few slight differences, and the book goes into way more detail.
Talking about the prequel comics for the movie?
Prequel comic and prequel book. But the other comics are presumably canon because they have the same information as what is presented in that book. Because the book only covers her.
Yeah.
So that's just that's an interesting thing. Anyway, that's a digression. I say that specifically the Legends comics are the ones that are very intricately tied into the episode because I know they don't really mention it, but they kind of twist them into the story. That is true. The prequel series from the movie is missing from the poll.
Oh, because it's only 4 comics long. I mean, I guess so is the Fiendship series, but the Fiendship series is its own thing. The prequel comics are leading into the movie kind of thing. It's not. It's really its own thing, and also, I only was allowed to put 5 options.
Anyway.
The annual comics aren't listed in the poll either.
Anyway, like, you know that there was this you know how in the episode it kind of seemed a little weird that Somnambula's item wasn't her necklace, it was her blindfold?
Yeah.
Like, that seems like a silly item for it to be her source of power thing. But if you look into the comic of her, then she uses her necklace to snap off and light inside of a snake.
Yeah, the giant snake.
Admittedly, later on in another comic, she has another necklace, but
and also also Meadowbrook having any ancestors didn't initially make sense until actually it was one of the main series comics that involved it, actually. You have the ancestor of Mage Meadowbrook mention that it was not Mage Meadowbrook, it was Mage Meadowbrook's sister that passed down the knowledge to in the family. So it means that, yes, the person, whoever his name is related to Meadowbrook, but through her sister, not through directly her. Speaking of descendants... the whole arc with, Shadow something or other, the guy who wanted to erase, every literature in Equestria just to erase every mention of the Pony of Shadows.
I didn't read that, because it was right before when I was reading the comics again.
Not only did it retread some things that were covered in the, whatever that bookworm arc were covered, but it also made no sense.
Didn't it end with, the book that was in the episode being sealed into that barrel, though?
Yes, but you want to know why it doesn't make any sense?
Why?
The real name of the Pony of Shadows is Stygian, right?
Yeah.
The lanky, teenage-aged-ish pony who was socially awkward, couldn't even tell his friends that he felt jealous of their power, had a girlfriend, and had a son or daughter to pass on his...
I feel like he was, older, not as old as Star Swirl, but, the others were all in their 20s. He could have been, late 20s, early 30s.
just personality-wise, I don't think he would have.
He was a recluse.
I don't think he'd. I don't think he'd. Unless
do know that do know. Well, I mean, I haven't read it, but do know that even someone can be 50 years old and still act like a 12-year-old, and
Also,
vice versa.
Not to
But
mention,
also, I mean, like, unless we're implying that while he was in his Pony of Shadows form, prior to being sealed in purgatory or whatever, while he was in that form, the Pony of Shadows, had a girlfriend or significant other and had offspring. Like, it's just like...
I mean, we can imply that if we
I'm
want
sorry,
to.
I'm not a contortionist. I cannot wrap my mind around that.
Come on,
Okay.
there is some great fan art of that should be made already. I bet we can find it.
Anyways,
Let's not do that right
we
now.
actually do have a few questions. Feel free to
really?
ask any more, but one person wanted to talk about how amazing Andy Price's art is.
Anti-what?
How amazing...
No, Andy Price, yeah, his art is absolutely he's freaking amazing.
Yep.
I had him commission a picture for one of my cousins to draw Fluttershy, and with like a picture with like butterflies around, and instead he drew a picture of Fluttershy with a butterfly landing on Fluttershy's nose. It was cute, and it was done with a glitter pen.
At BronyCon, I paid like, I think it was like $5 or $10 for a quick little commission, and I asked for one of his original creations, the Observer Pony, because
Not really original, but yeah.
Well, his original pony, he created the character that's a ponification of September from Fringe.
I remember
which I still need to watch. It's kind of funny that I already knew that was referencing Fringe, even though I never watched it.
I
It's
watched
weird.
like a season of Fringe, and I only barely got to the episodes with the Observer guy. But still, I only knew that because people told me that it existed.
Yeah, sorry, it's just kind of my thing when I'm reviewing the comics to point out the Observer Pony. I only did that because it was leading to the Reflections arc. Now that the Reflections arc is over, unless they're planning on like a direct sequel to that arc, why is the Observer Pony still in Equestria? He still pops up from time to time. He was in the Cantor Creek area for that ridiculous arc with Applejack and Rarity. More recently, he was at the Pony United Nations, which that one made sense because he's probably he's a mainless tailless pony. He's probably his own race for all I know.
What are you? Pony United Nations?
Oh my god.
Yes, it exists.
What?
Give me a sec.
Is it like
I'm sorry to interrupt, but can I start speaking for a bit because you guys chatted for like maybe 20 minutes?
Sorry.
That's okay. I wanted you, and I wanted to hear like every little opinion, so it's preparing me for all the stuff that I have to watch. And okay, now it's transferring to something else.
Oh, still talk. I have to find the comic. So.
Oh, okay. So, people, I want to ask you first. Can you hear me? Because I am by my mic and I'm kind of raising my voice. Am I audible enough? Just have to wait.
They can hear you. I can hear it.
I swear next year I will have a better setup.
Alright, good, cool. Alright, so I'm gonna look at the, wait, what should I talk about now?
Whatever you want to talk about.
What do I talk about? What?
Oh, hey. I didn't realize you brought stuff up on the screen.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, yeah. I can tell you like what's the last comic I read for each series and what I didn't read. Like I haven't read any of the Fiendship is Magic, even though I own them. I pretty much have like
there we go, the Hall of Unity.
Wait. Is that a comic that has the King of Abyssnia in it?
Yes, it has the King of it has Aspen, the King of the Deer. It has Thorax. It has the the king and queen of Abyssinia. It has the pirate parrot people. It has Seabreeze. I think there's Seabreeze. It has Seabreeze. It has Chief Thunderhooves. It has.
I need to read that comic.
The only race. Okay, the only race it's missing is zebras. There are two parts to the entire arc, and not a single zebra.
All right, let's not try to turn this to a race issue. Let's not right now. Let's not.
I mean, maybe they're gearing up for an anti-zebra war, and then we get Fallout Equestria.
And there it is. Okay,
Big Apple Pie does not like Fallout Equestria.
Yeah, let's not talk about Fallout. We're not talking about Fallout. We are not. If I wanted to go to a Fallout panel, I'd go to, well, the Fallout panel.
It even has the dragon, like every race except for freaking zebras.
Okay. Let's see here.
What about Minotaurs?
Yeah. Oh no, actually, the weird thing is.
Can I please speak?
Sorry. I was gonna say the weird thing is Longhorn is there, but you do not see Iron Will. In fact, he's not allowed.
Comic, please. Can I please talk?
Yes. Talk.
Okay. So the last thing I did read, let me see here, was for the main line, because I've only really read the main line, all the micro series, and the Friends Forever. Everything else, no. So the last thing I did read for the Friendship is Mad to the main line was Ponyville Days, which was 30 and 31. So I'm far behind.
You know what I just realized? I thought I was showing the comics, but instead it still shows my library.
Okay. The micro series did read all of them, so I definitely can talk about that. And for me, let's see, the last issue of Friends Forever was did I skip it? 25. See, I'm far behind. That's when Rainbow. Oh yeah, that was a pretty cool. I want to talk a little bit. Gonna briefly discuss it. Issue number 25 of Friends Forever was kind of interesting. That one was where Rainbow Dash's wings are missing, and there's like 3 unicorns are trying to be fake alicorns. It was like, this sounds kind of funny.
I haven't read any of these, by the way.
Oh, okay. Oh, really?
Yeah,
The Friends Forever was interesting, because basically they're trying to figure it out, and they find these 3 unicorns where they're like, we're gonna put our own wings on, and our own horns, and there will be alicorns. So it's kind of like doing the whole, it's kind of like the Cutie Pox thing.
I'll show that one in a second. I realized I spent the whole time talking about the whole, like, Hall of Ponies arc, and it wasn't showing up on the screen. So, for anyone curious...
Oh, the King of Abyssinia is so cute.
I always thought it was... Every time I change windows, it goes really small and big again, and it's really annoying.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I haven't read most of the comics.
It's okay. So that one, I think, that was the last one I did read for Friends Forever, and I thought that was very, very interesting. And also, Ponyville Days was kind of interesting. That was where, like, it's like who deserves, like, kind of like a memorial for the founding of Equestria. Like, it's basically a civil war. And I actually remember talking to Agnes Garboska, who did the art for it, and I think even did, like, I'm not sure if she did the story, but she did the art. And I remember when I asked her what was your favorite that she did, and she says it was that one, because at the time it was like the latest one she did. And when I read it, it was really good. It was like, so basically there's a civil war. It's very interesting, because basically it's like, you know how Twilight would come in to fix an issue, you know?
Sorry,
Hello, guys?
I just finally brought up the number 25, and now you're talking about another one.
Well, I know, but okay. There's issue number 25. That was the one. That was that was quite interesting. Where these like really crazy. See, the main's crazy. They want to be their own alicorns. I kind of forgot how it ended, but of course it ends with them. You know, it's a quick comic. They look very. I like them because they look very like OC looking. Like we want to be alicorns. But the Civil War one was quite interesting. So you have half of Ponyville on the Apple family side and half of Ponyville on Filthy Rich's side.
Yeah, the Ponyville Days War.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. And what was actually made it interesting is that basically Twilight leaves her Camelot on business, so they don't have their
trump card?
What?
They don't have their like I'm a princess, listen to me kind of thing.
Yeah, they don't have the negotiator or something. They don't have the negotiation compromiser or organizer.
No, actually no. Twilight's there.
No, she's not. No.
Oh yeah, right. Not till the end, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's not there, so all of this occurs, and Twilight's not there. And then the second comic, she returns. She's like, "Oh my gosh, what happened? Are you guys kidding me?" I was only gone for a day, and this is what's happening. Yeah,
it was actually it's a ridiculous battle scene. Let me bring that up.
I know.
So stop talking for a second, so I can actually keep up with things.
You don't have to show the comics. It's fine. That's why I said I'm just briefly going over. I'm just briefly.
There we go. They're battling with pies and period type dresses.
No,
that's the same comic.
There it is.
There it is. Yeah, there it is. And Twilight returns, and she's like, "What?" And yeah.
Hey, look, Screwball. Nice.
Yeah, what in the question is going on? Yes, that's really funny. I love the. To be honest, this is what I'll say about the comics. This is what I really like about IDW. When they do this pony comics, is that they do these ridiculously big portraits that are almost like Where's Waldo, and if you really take the time, you're like, wow, they did that detail, they did that. Like in this picture, you actually see the whole like the Big Lebowski ponies in there too.
Yeah, it's mainly Andy Price, like, but Tony Fleece is starting to do it.
That was done by Agnes Garboska, by the way.
Agnes Garboska.
That's her art. And let's see here, micro series. I could talk about micro series. I read I read every single one except the Cutie Mark Crusaders, and I finally got it, and I finally read it, and that was actually very, very, very good.
The ones with
Where they go with Discord, or is that?
No. Who needs that one? Whatever. No, not that Cutie Mark Crusaders one. The one where they basically are traveling around trying to get their cutie marks, and they come across a rock, but it's not really a rock. It's some sort of creature that.
The Great Equestrian Mimicker.
Mimicker, yeah, and it was very cute.
Oh yeah.
That was a very cute story.
Which comic is the one that has the crystal ghost thing?
That is the Twilight Sparkle and Shining Armor, Friends Forever.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was Friends Forever number 4. Yes, that's when they have their little adventure.
The squash in it. Sasquatch.
That was the AJ micro series.
Yeah, that was the AJ micro series.
Anyways, actually, there's a few questions that have been going on. One, actually. If anyone has any questions they want to ask about our opinions on certain comics, feel free to ask. But okay,
Someone said, do
you consider the Siege of the Crystal Empire and Reflections arc as canon? Yes.
I mean, I don't. Here's the thing: is for me, when it comes to canon or not, here's my, I guess, argument. The thing is the argument of, oh, is this canon? No, it's not canon. My argument is, who cares? They're official comics. You should be happy. We should be happy that we have official comic books that we can read, that are made by professionals that know what they're doing, even if some of them aren't great. Just like the show, some of the episodes aren't great, and some of them are fantastic. And I love that this publishing company is taking the time and saying, let's make a bunch. Let's make a huge line of expanding universe stories, whether or not they're canon to the story, or the show breaks the canon of a comic book. It's fine, because
to be fair, they do that with a lot of like game and TV shows. Because I'm pretty sure IDW makes a Angry Birds comic series.
Here's actually a good question, though. Do you think if this whole thing with there being another generation of the show is actually real, if that's actually real, do you think the comics will last longer than the show?
No.
I cannot say for sure. I could not say.
Do you think they'll go beyond the show? They'll keep on happening?
Well, if they have the permission to keep
they'll
doing
probably
that.
make it like 2 separate series. Like they'll have a main series of 4th gen and a main series of 5th gen.
I have no idea what they'll do. It probably isn't up to them, because do keep in mind, you two and anybody watching live or later, is that when I went to actual panels and stuff, I remember when I went to ComicCon 2015 and Andy Price was there and Katie Cook was there, they were saying that they actually have to ask like the headquarters or whatever if they can make a certain story, because sometimes they couldn't because they're going to do something like that and they may say yes or no. Katie Cook was giving an example, like, I have to ask, like, I have to like write an email and say, hey, can I write a story about Big Macintosh trying to get a box of nails? And then she says, and that's exactly what I did, and I did it, and they said yes, so I made a whole story about him trying to get a box of nails.
My favorite,
that is one comic I remember.
That was I think that was like one of her first ones, or her first one. It was really entertaining.
I do say that my favorite, like, story like that is they contacted, like, Megan, hey, we want to give Luna a pet. We're thinking of giving her a pet rock. Megan goes, no, you can't do that. I have a plan for a rock. So then they came up with Tibbles, the opossum.
Yeah. Then good example. If that's the case, yeah, that's a good example. I mean, who knows? Maybe they will be allowed to keep doing the pony comics and stuff that you Gen 4, but they're probably going to do with the later generation. I don't know. Okay, well, then I'll voice, instead of saying whether I think there will or not, this is what I will say. I would like it if they would continue Friendship is Magic comics. When the Friendship is Magic show ends, I would like it to continue, because if they do, I will try to read them. I will try to support it, and I will do that. And that's the thing, is that's probably all people will have left after it ends.
I wonder if they'll ever come out with, like, full-on volumes of every series. Full-sized book.
Well, there are what you call omnibuses, which have a lot. So, yeah, they probably will, since they already have the omnibuses, like 2 of them. So, they probably will.
Because I would buy a set of those for my shelf, because that would be much nicer than having to have actual comics.
Well, I have almost every single comic first print.
I don't have money to do that. I buy the digital comic or I steal the digital comic.
Yeah, I don't steal.
We don't.
I do not steal.
ComicSansPony's channel does not advocate the piracy of pony comics. Please support the official release.
I support the official release and I buy them and stuff. So here's the cool thing about IDW Publishing. You buy the pony comics online, they're like half the price.
Oh yeah, they're like $1.99 in iTunes if you wait a couple weeks. Sure, when they first
that price the day they come out if you buy them on the website.
I'm just saying that when they first come out, when they first come out in iBooks, they're $3.99, but they dropped like $1.99 after their release, like a few weeks later.
Yeah, looks where. Oh, thoughts on Andy Price writing the last issue of Friends Forever?
Oh yeah, the Celestia Luna going to the Sisterhood Social. That was a comic. It was an interesting comic. They diminish their power so they can be equal in every way to other ponies, so they don't have an unfair advantage. But the person who gave them the potion, Crystal Ball, even though she was told not to put spices in there because it makes the princesses feisty, she did. So they're cramming their schedules full of stuff. They get all these stuff done before the Sisterhood Social, and their competitive streak is coming to light. And when they go to the Sisterhood Social, they're like just fighting with each other the entire time. And Luna even has Celestia get hypnotized to whenever someone says go, Celestia acts like a chicken. So they lose every event because on your mark, get set, go, Celestia acts like a chicken. And meanwhile...
So it's a fun mess.
Yes. And then meanwhile, they forgot to feed their pets back in the palace, and Kibitz, their schedule keeper, who to quote Jet Fever, my script editor character in my reviews, has a stick so far up his butt it sticks out his forehead. He unknowingly feeds the pets the berries, the strawberries that were enchanted to give them their powers back after the event.
Oh my
and
gosh,
so
okay,
you
okay,
have
okay,
you
okay.
have
Well, let's leave it that.
robots. But anyways, so you have it basically just ends with a giant what's the fight called when you have like giant monsters? It's a Japanese style of thing. Anyways, you have a giant opossum and a giant phoenix battling. Hello? Did we lose?
The connection was really bad. It was really bad.
I don't know what just happened, but everything broke. You know, like the whole call just went like silent, and I had to like log in and log out and log in.
No, that was interesting because it was actually cutting out for me a lot, and then you were doing that, so I just decided to exit, come back in. Anyway,
I like you were roboting right before, and then like you just completely cut out.
Yeah, same for me.
Anyways, so basically what you missed, but the people watching the stream didn't, is they heard the robot voices. Anyways,
Did you hear them, Comic?
I did, yes. I'm like, robots. Must be upgraded. Upgrading is compulsory. Delete.
You must be upgraded. Or you
If I'm going to quickly say what my favorite comics are of each line, which is the only 3 of them that I've actually read. Just really quick, not going to talk about it. I kind of talked about it last year, but I'm going to say it. Friendship is Magic. Reflections is my absolute favorite of all time, and it's because of it I no longer shipped to Celestia. It was that powerful. So I like that. The next one is, so the micro series, I don't know, Friends Forever. I'm going to just go to the Friends Forever. I think my absolute favorite one has got to be issue number 3, which is Spike and Celestia, because it basically does a great way of making people shut up about why doesn't Celestia do this? Or why is like it kind of makes you like listen, and especially if you read it several times, you'll understand what it's talking about, and it does a good job. And if you want, basically, it's like if you want an episode with Spike and it wasn't like Spike's trying to prove himself, and it's so pathetic. It's like, no, it's not that way. Spike and Celestia have a nice little adventure. It's very sweet. Yeah. It's a very, very sweet story. As for the micro series, that's very difficult to say. Some people didn't like the Twilight Sparkle one, which makes me wonder why. It's not my favorite, but I don't understand. I thought it was actually pretty okay. Rainbow Dash 1 was really bad. I don't think anybody liked the Rainbow Dash 1. Rainbow Dash and the Fluttershy one were kind of good. I did like the... Let's see, the Rarity one was... Oh yeah, the Rarity one was good. Rarity one was good. The Pinkie Pie one was actually the first one I read, I think.
Don't spend so much time going over each individual ones you liked and disliked. Just spent a whole half an hour on that last year. So
I am so sorry. It's just you guys were talking a lot, so I'm just trying to like.
Sorry, I
put in a lot.
I tend to take over when I do these things. I just talk over everybody, mostly because I'm the one that everyone can hear clearest because I have a shitty setup.
Yeah, it's all right because I understand. Cause we're I think it's your panel and stuff.
You're over a half an hour, but anyways, doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think Pinkie Pie would be my favorite. I guess the Pinkie Pie one is my favorite because it was the first one I read and I was actually pretty impressed. But I know my least favorite one of the micro series is it's not Rainbow Dash. It's the Celestia one. It was very twisted. I'm not going to get into it, but warning for people who are going to read the Celestia one. It's a twisted message. It's not a good moral at all. It's a bad moral.
Yeah. So actually, we have a question. Has anyone ever read the IDW Transformers comics? No, and I'm half joking when I say this. This is all about them pony comics, not all about them Transformer comics.
Well, I haven't read them either. I'm not into Transformers. Oh no! But I've just never been.
Michael Bay ruined it for me.
I bet they're good comics. I bet they're better than the live action movies. Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions or Hindsight being 2020, maybe I should have had some questions in mind. I just thought we'd be able to be audience question led like in previous years, but I guess
Yeah, last year we had a lot. Well, it's also because we had like 2 more people
true
in our thing, so we had like a lot. We did really discussed a lot. So here it was kind of like just more of like a comfortable little podcast.
Yeah. Well, last year it was me, Apple Pie, and then I think last minute I got Valis the Dragon and Omniviewer.
I was a last minute too, so.
And yeah,
everybody.
Everybody.
I'm like, oh, we're doing a HAHcon. I'm like, oh, okay, last minute, sure, we'll talk about chaotic pony comics. Yeah, soon.
Okie dokie.
What was in the other thing?
Can I just? There's one thing I wanted to mention. Let me look at the comics for a second.
Hello.
Someone else talk while I go through the comics.
Oh, man, Stan, you're late.
Oh wait,
We're about to end.
Wait,
hopefully.
did ComicSans join the call?
Yep.
Okay, hold on. I gotta make him magically appear in the on
This
screen.
I have to see.
Nope, wrong button. There we go. Now he should appear.
Are you gonna speak?
I think he is, but he's the only person who I haven't doubled their volume. There we go. Hello?
Can you guys hear me now?
Vaguely.
Well, welcome to the end of the the stream, Cool Man. Glad you finally showed up. This is Cool Man Stan, the Pegasag who's too cool to fly. Personally, I think he doesn't know how to. Anyways,
I do. I swear.
he is he's my friend in real life, and he was supposed to be the only person physically in the same room as me for this, but things didn't work out.
We could have had your video up on the screen instead of weird faces. Anyway. I don't know, man.
So, yes, Coolman is fashionably late. He's so late the panel should have already ended, and then he showed up.
Oh, I know. Oh, there's one thing we didn't talk about that I was actually hoping to come around here for, was fan comics.
Oh yeah, fan comics. Fortunately, all the fan comics I read are Fall to Question ones, so Big Apple won't want me to talk about them.
One fan comic I really like is a kind of old one that there was a reading of on Dr. Wolf's channel. It's the one where what's her face?
What's her face? My favorite pony.
Fleur-de-Lis, where Fleur-de-Lis is a former Canterlot guard working as the bodyguard of Fancy Pants. That's a fan comic.
Well, that's an interesting novel idea.
It has almost it has the same quality as a lot of IDW comics, visual-wise. It's a really good and well-made comic.
I think one of my favorites, and I think a lot of people's favorites, and if they haven't read it, they need to read it. It's updated once every several months, but it's great, is Twilight's First Day.
First Day what?
Are you serious, guys? You don't know that one? That's a great one. That's by Muffinshire. That is an awesome one. It's basically Twilight's first day of the school she goes to, Celestia, and it's her as little Philly, and it's adorable. It's just her trying to get through her first day, and then it's also getting through her first dance, and it's little shenanigans because she's just trying to get used to it and fit in and everything, or it's very adorable.
TLK 1994 knows what you're talking about.
Get through school. It's kind of cute.
Meh.
It's a cute story.
Saying that TLK 1994 knows what you're talking about, so.
Is TLK the only person in the chat left?
No, there's at least 10 people watching, so we gotta.
Really?
We maxed at 14. We maxed at 14 people, so it's not like we're too lacking for audience. So we just need to entertain. Are you not entertained?
We aren't.
Hey, Cool Man, since you're late to the party and you weren't here last year, of the comics you have read, which ones were your favorite? You're roboting. Hold on. You good? Hello?
He looks like he's trying to talk, but I can't hear him.
Hello? Cool, man. Leave the call and come back.
Black Wings.
No, those aren't Black Wings. Those are headphones.
Those are weird looking headphones.
Hello?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you now.
Hi. Hi, we can hear you.
I switched to my 4G. Apparently my
I
Wi-Fi
don't think
is...
I can hear us if we do stage whispers. No, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, cool, man. So, of the comics you have read, do you have any favorites?
Ooh, I mean, I've read about, let's see, 10 of the Friends Forever comics. And that's about it.
Let me guess, you like the ones with rarity in them?
Yes.
That's even less comics than I've read.
Honestly, my favorite was the, what is that, Planes, Trains, and Cars with Wheels?
The worst Friends ever, of course.
I disagree. I think it's the best.
Actually, that one was actually pretty good. It wasn't terrible, it wasn't good. So I was thinking of the one that made reference to it, the Good, the Bad, and the Pony arc.
Is that the one with the bulls?
The second one, technically...
so was the one following that. Or it was Minotaurs. It was like the same thing. It was sad that the Western one and then the Everfree one with the deer was like the exact same story. It was kind of sad.
The deer one was so good, though.
Oh, dear.
Really
It was
liked
getting
the deer
good,
one.
and then it was like, oh, we're the reason why everything's acting up is because they're trying to build an amusement park. Really?
Yes.
That's it? I thought it was
Is
gonna
that
be
the
something
only
darker.
other Minotaur we know
The
of?
enemy,
What other Minotaurs are
we
there?
have Well-to-Do and Iron Will.
Is that it?
Those are the only Minotaurs we know, and apparently, according to
Are there any female Minotaurs?
I don't know. According to the
'Cause that's even
Hall
worse
of like
than
the
only
Hall of
one
Harmony or whatever the
female
arc with
buffalo.
the I don't know. Apparently,
I
trying to
I can't
say
share my screen.
something.
Hold on, comic.
I'm trying to
Sorry,
say
comic. I can't.
something.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I know I talk a lot, but
You're gonna have to finish before we even get done with this sentence.
all right, fine. Say what you're gonna say. Sorry.
Okay, well, I was wondering, if you could show, I don't know if with your share screen you can do it that cool or not, or something, or to show each panel. There is just one shot, like, single comic I want shown.
What
I want
comic?
people to see if we're gonna end this on a high note on something funny. If
What
you want to
comic?
look at it.
What is it?
like,
A fan?
very
Is it a
quick.
fan comic? Is it one of the MLP
It
comics?
is a fan comic. It is a fan comic.
If you
Just
send me a
it's
link,
very-
I can. If you send me a link, I think I can show it. Just as.
Yeah, just look at the link and then see if you, and then look at it and then
Did you,
show
oh, you
everybody
sent
later.
it in
That's,
person?
I love it.
Okay.
I want to stare into the red light of my microphone.
Why are you stage whispering?
Yes, because I'm going insane.
Okay, let's
Well,
see if
I've
I
already-
let's see if I can do this.
Yeah, do it like one panel at a time and scroll down. I don't know.
Capture window capture. Okay.
So it's one of those long comics?
No.
And then we need Safari. Where the fuck is Safari?
Zoom in, zoom out, or whatever.
10
It's
out of-
it's
10
one
out
of
of
those. It's a
10.
fan comic by
Most
Dr.
organized
Oreo.
panel.
It's hilarious. It's got like 7 panels, so it's very short.
Our time is almost up, folks.
Also,
Yeah, that's
our
why I
time,
wanted to
our
show
time has
something
our time
funny.
has been up since 6:30, but okay.
The actual time is almost up.
Oh, there it is.
Just because you
Zoom
say
in.
that it's going to be half an hour doesn't mean you
Oh,
don't.
there's a spoiler. There's a
Hour
spoiler.
on
We'll
it.
zoom in on it.
It's like I just zoomed in. I don't know if the stream is behind or not, but it's.
I guess the
I
stream
can't
is
see
behind
it on
on
the
it.
stream. Oh, wait, I'm
Why is
behind
it,
a bit.
why is it not working? Why is it always doing that when I try to switch?
I was behind a way bit in the
Okay,
stream.
I see it. I see it because it's lagging the stream. It's
I see
very
it.
funny. Yeah.
Okay,
Give
so
me back my
to give me back my horseshoe, it's Scootaloo's nightmare from Sleepless in Ponyville. Some pony help me, and then crashes into what would have been Luna, but instead.
Can't see those.
I'll link it to you guys, I'll link it to
Hello
you guys.
there. This is a pretty spooky dream, huh?
I linked it to you, cool man, Stan, and
What the
Puffy.
fuck?
Comic.
What?
Why?
It's SpongeBob. And then, meanwhile... Okay.
God damn it. Isn't there are a lot of dirty jokes in SpongeBob?
Come on, I'm trying to end it on a high note. There was one other comic that was going to be a little bit like, but I wanted to show this.
Okay,
that was funny. I love that. I really love that comic a lot. That's really funny. Like, just, SpongeBob did it first. Or before, at least.
Yeah. Interesting, to say
this
the
is
least.
The comic I meant, by the way.
The fuck was that?
Damn, oh, that's loud.
It was loud. But no, like, this is the comic I was talking about. If you look at it, just see how well it's drawn.
Oh, yeah. Wait, so that's... Oh, yeah, I've seen this. So this is by a person who copies somehow copies Andy Price's art style.
I have no idea. I just know it's definitely not... It isn't canon, I don't
It's not canon, it's not official, but it's... Yeah, but I've seen that, because someone did something, too, in the Reflections arc with, like... using, like, the good Queen Chrysalis, or whatever her name is, in the Reflections arc and stuff, and have a story about her. That's kind of cool that people can do that.
So this is the other one you're talking about? It should now be showing up in the stream, I think. It's always not sized correctly. That's annoying.
Oh, we're streaming for an hour. Are you going for an hour and 30 minutes?
Okay.
It won't center in the screen and it's bothering me.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Good enough. Okay, so yeah, we have this whole... I'm not gonna do a comic reading. It's not what this panel's about. This panel, I think it was about comics.
Yeah, that's long. That's good. I'm gonna read that one because in one series I'm gonna do, maybe this will inspire me. This will make it really good because I'm doing one series and it includes, for a short time, Fleur, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with her, and maybe this will inspire me, and I'll just say, oh, this episode was inspired by this comic. That would help a lot.
This comic is my headcanon. I accept it. I don't care.
Well, it'll be helpful for me to use it in this, because I'm making a little series where I'm even... Oh, by the way, you guys like comic books? My little series, animatic series I'm doing, I'm even adding in comic book story into it, so comic book characters will be in it, not just the show. So, yeah.
That's cool. Fleur-de-Lis going toe-to-toe with the Changeling prior to the Reformation. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty old comic. It's like a couple years old.
Well,
No, actually, it's more than a couple years old. It's got to be more than a couple years old. How long was this ago? Let's see.
Doesn't seem to be a Changeling.
Yeah,
or it is. Okay, it was hard to tell.
It has the fangs, and then I think I do eventually it has the green magic, and then eventually it does show it like half transforming.
At first, I thought it was
from 2015 at least.
I thought at
that's
first
when the Dr. Wolf video was.
I thought it was going to be like when I was looking at it, it's like, okay, so she has an evil twin sister that's like a bat vampire looking thing. At first, I thought it was look like that. Like, okay, that's
anyway.
Yeah, but that's cool.
Well, since we're ending it, and I know ApplePie is not the biggest fan of the Fallout Equestria thing, I'll discuss this now and then probably end the stream. But a recent Fallout Equestria thing that I've found is this. I mean, I don't consider it canon because I don't like the way the person went with it, but it's still an interesting story. Basically, it's like, I think it's like another 2,000 years later, maybe 1,000, maybe not 2,000, like either another 200 or 1,000 years later. No, because all the main characters from the original Fallout are still alive. Anyways, basically the NCR is established, and they're evicting Little Pip from the SPP because she's not an NCR citizen. She's not trained. They don't want a civilian controlling the weather. So it's still incomplete. They haven't finished the comic yet.
That is BS. That is complete BS.
It is. That's the part of it I don't like, that the NCR is kind of portrayed as the bad guy, even though they're not being like evil.
Free Vegas. No.
Evil is relative.
Yeah. And so basically, like it has little Pip. Little Pip have to get evicted from the SPP. Gets little Macintosh taken away because she doesn't have the permit to have a gun.
Doesn't have a gun license.
And then she.
This isn't.
That should not be a thing until everybody who is alive during the wasteland is dead. Just common sense.
And then like she's like talking with the council at the NCR in Junction Town, and then she is going out. And I think the most recent part of it ended with
own that place.
What?
Isn't she technically like still their landlord?
I don't know. The weirdest part is
I really gotta go. I have to go to another panel. I'm missing it right now. So.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Go.
So bye.
Wait.
Nice
Who's leaving? Sorry.
Me, BigApplePie. I have to go.
Okay.
I was planning to watch another stream like right after this. So.
Sorry. Have fun.
Gotta go do that. Thanks for having me. Thanks for watching. Who watched now or later now? So.
Yeah.
Thank you. Goodbye.
But anyways, so like it's an interesting. The art style is of this. I don't know the name of it, so I can't just bring it up and show it like I showed the other two that people suggested. But the art style of this Fall to Question thing, it was like a really cute art style, like almost the Jay Fosgitt chibi pony style, but much more visually appealing. Jay Fosgitt does not draw good ponies. I think it's Jay Fosgitt that does the really stupid chibi art. I think it's Jay Fosgitt. I hope I'm thinking of the right artist of the comics. But anyways, it was a much more appealing chibi pony style and the Fall to Question thing. And it has an interesting story, but it's like I don't think it would happen that way if it were in the. Because it also I think it ignores Project Horizons and all the other big Fallout stories too. So.
But still. Anyway.
That's the only fan comic that I actively follow. I mean, then there's the Tumblr blogs, but a lot of them that I used to follow have gone dormant, so there's no point in mentioning them.
I like Tumblr blogs.
Yeah.
They're fun. I always wanted to do one, but I can't draw that quickly.
Horsewife is fun. This is a fun one.
There's one that I got pointed to in a Lily Pete video yesterday.
In a Lily Pete video, I take that recommendation with a grain of salt.
Bah! It was a cute looking thing. It was about Sci-Twi and Big Mac's child?
The fuck? Okay.
Who is also apparently the nightmare of Sunset Shimmer and the prodigy of, like, the princesses. And anyway, it sounded interesting. It looked cute. Anyway, we should probably just finish. Can I just ask one last question?
Sure. Why
am I a moderator?
I made you one because Coolman Stan wasn't here for the beginning.
I don't know what that can do.
You could ban people from the stream if they were being troll like. How big is the lag? I much like when Coolman Stan arrived, I removed Big Apple, but he hasn't disappeared from the actual stream.
Oops. I didn't mean to do that.
What did you do? What did you do?
Sorry. I accidentally put a person in timeout.
And they're not even gonna know for a little bit that it was an accident. So.
I can't even undo it. Why can't I even undo it?
No, I
You know what?
This is the perfect way to go out. Bye, everybody.
There.
Just time out everyone before you go.
I put Chokfi in timeout for messing shit up.
Okay, I'll go to my corner.
Oh man. So sorry. I'm sorry, Poker, Cypher, Pokera, whatever your name is on YouTube. That was an unintentional timeout. It lasts for 300 seconds.
Put the little bunny on a little stool in the corner, and so that he can be on timeout too.
Yeah, and you're wearing a dunce hat. You're wearing a dunce hat.
I don't think a dunce hat would fit around my ears. I might need to redo my damn arms.
Okay.
Anyway.
Let's end the stream. I'm ComicSansPony. That was BigApplePie.
I'm Chokfi.
The worst moderator ever. And the Pegasus that was fashionably late. Say goodbye.
Yeah, I added a lot to this conversation.
Well, you would have moderated
So
the
much.
comments.
You
Probably
added so much
better
to the
than Chokfi.
conversation. You added so much to the conversation.
Verity's best pony is what you added to the conversation. I personally think it's derpy, but there isn't a derpy comic, so yet.
Why isn't there a derpy comic?
Because she's controversial.